So if you are concerned with driving impact, really building an audience, I should say, around what you're doing to put your message out there, stick around. Today's video is for you. Hey guys, Castner here, chiming in for a quick story on really what can you do as it relates to feeling connected with telling your story, sharing your impact, putting your message out there into the world, even if you're not necessarily getting the feedback or the impressions or the likes or comments or engagement that you truly want. So today I have a quick story. This is actually coming off of yesterday morning. As I'm recording this, yesterday morning, the D-Wade commercial from Budweiser dropped. It's been blowing everybody's social media channels up, and it really, my allergies started acting up when that happened yesterday. When I watched it, it was such a moving tribute. If you haven't checked it out, I will drop that link inside of the section of this video so you can go see it. Very powerful stuff. So that happened yesterday morning. I watched it. It prompted me to put something on social related to it. And so then I go about my day. I actually facilitate a program for a nonprofit organization that helps women get back into the workforce. And this is actually my 10th cohort for this organization. I've been doing this, working with this organization in this capacity for the last 3 years. And that'll make sense in a moment when I tell this story. But I go to the program, and we happen to be in this particular cohort. It's a 6-week cohort. We're on week 3. And so I'm feeling a little emotional about what I just witnessed with this commercial, right? And thinking about impact, thinking about, transformational impact, sometimes I think we as professionals get so caught up in what we do, and it's hard for us to really see beyond the title or the job description that we give ourselves in order to really know that we're making a true impact and a true difference. And so going into that yesterday's session, with that thought and with that energy, I was absolutely blown away by what I heard from one of the speakers. Now, I facilitate the program. We talk about all sorts of things related to getting back into the workforce as it relates to interviews and resumes and searching for jobs online. Those are all things that I'm not necessarily qualified to talk about. Fortunately, I have friends that are, and so I bring them in to really speak to those topics. And one of our presenters who's been with us for a long time, she's been with us essentially since I started working with this organization, she spoke yesterday. And it's cool because she does her thing. She's talking about what she had to bring to the table. I'm not going to get into that because I don't necessarily want to oust her, because I don't want to tell her story. I really want to tell it from my perspective to really give you some insights as to what we're here to talk about today, which is, again, you're out there creating content, trying to drive impact, but sometimes you're wondering, is that really landing where it needs to land? Do I really need to be working so hard to do all this? Is anybody really paying attention or anybody listening? And I'm going to tell you, after you hear the story, hopefully, whatever you're doing to drive impact, you are inspired to keep doing it regardless of the metrics, okay? So my friend, she does her thing, and then she ends her presentation with this story. And she talks about how she just recently got an invitation to really take her career, quantum leap her career to the next level. And she herself was getting pretty emotional about it. And what she was attributing, I can't even say that word right, but what she was really, when she started connecting the dots as it relates to when she was offered this position and who had to come into her world in order for that, the stars to align to make this happen. She really pointed back to something that I said to the class. So like I said, this career development program, this is my 10th cohort, my 10th class that I'm teaching this cohort over the last 3 years. It was something I said to a class from almost 3 years ago, an activity that I gave them, and I'll share that activity with you all in a moment. But that activity prompted her, even though she's somebody that I admire and think that she has her act together. She took that prompt and took action with it. and continued to do that one little exercise every single day. And again, I'm going to share that in a moment. And it guided her down the path to where she's at today. And it blew me away because it was something that I wasn't even aware that I said. I mean, I know I said it, okay, because it's something I say all the time to our participants, especially every new class. I shared what I'm about ready to share with you with them. And so I know I say it, but sometimes I'm not always aware of the impact of those words. And that's what I'm getting at today. So what the exercise that I gave during that class, what I give at every class, or at the start of every class, is what do you want it to look like? So you can't just think about the beautiful, listicle awesomeness that you want your life to be. You can't just wish upon it, okay? You also have to say, okay, I have to think about it. I have to feel it. So I have to think it and feel it. But then I also have to write it down. Play with it a little bit, play with those thoughts on paper so you can actually visualize it. And then here's the critical part. You have to then take action on what you wrote down. So if you had some sort of idea that kind of came to your mind, you feel connected with it, you took the time to explore it through writing, you also then have to take action to move it forward. You can't just say, okay, I'm thinking it, I'm feeling it, I'm going to write it down, and then never do anything with it. You've got to follow those 4 things. So again, taking intentional time every day to write down or to think about first, what do you want it to look like? So if you're not where you're at today, and I'm really speaking to those people right now professionally who they're not living their bigger purpose. They're just going through the motions, but they're not really totally connected with what it is they've got to do to show up on this planet. When it's game over, right? The people that I'm talking to are the people that are look, if today were the last day, and the chips fell where they fell today, would I be happy with where things lay? Would I be happy with the legacy that I'm leaving behind? If you're not, I encourage you to follow through and say, okay, intentionally every single day, ideally, before you start your day, what can I do? What can I think about? How do I want it to look like? Write those things down, write down some potential action steps, and then by golly, follow through on the action steps, right? Take action today, even if it's this monumental goal that you want to accomplish. Take a few moments to say, okay, what's the 1 or 2 next action steps I can take that are going to move me closer to that goal? When you do this every day, just like my friend did, when she took the time to do it every single day, and then really work towards it. She wasn't just sitting back waiting for it to all kind of fall into place. She literally had to take action to make it happen. It didn't happen for her for 3 years, or almost 3 years. I think it was more like 2.5 years. But my point is, how long would it take her to get it if she didn't do all that, right? So if we're pissing and moaning about oh damn, I don't want to do the work because it's going to take me 3 years to figure it out. What if it takes you 30 years to and you still haven't quite figured it out because you didn't do a darn thing with it, right? So that's when I start thinking about the impact of our words, and I start thinking about the impact of what you're saying to your people, your tribes, the people that are following you, the clients that you want to serve, the peers that you want to influence, it's sometimes really saying that message over and over and over and over and over again before it finally clicks. And, what's really powerful is in my coaching and consulting practice, what's fascinating about this whole thing is generally speaking, the people that are the most engaged, and I heard this from my coach the other day, the things that are people, when they're typically engaged, they're like the looky-loos. They're the ones that are just kind of they're kind of taking up space. And they're making you feel good, right? They're making you feel like you're making an impact. But it's this false sense of security. Where I find I have the most success when I all of a sudden will get a phone call from somebody that I know, not a complete stranger, but somebody that I know, somebody that wants to work with me in a capacity to move mountains with their business. It is because, and like 9 times out of 10, I'm not joking you, when I get a phone call out of the blue by somebody that wants to work with me, 9 times out of 10, the next words out of their mouth are that they either watch the video, watch the podcast, they've been stalking me for a number of years. They finally, like today, they were binge watching like a bunch of content, and like today was finally the day. But I had no clue behind the scenes that they were actually dialed into my message. You follow me? So for those of you who are out there, like I said, creating content, putting value out there into the universe, and wondering, like, is that actually like hitting the ears and the hearts of the people that you want to get in front of? Show up and do it anyway. Show up and be consistent with it. But you could also amplify your success by taking it a step further if you're not already doing this, and literally taking just a few moments a day to intentionally map out what's in here, and putting it down on paper so you can like express it and work out maybe some of the details, and then follow through. Put your details into action. When you do that consistently every day, things will shift. I can't give you a crystal ball timeline as to when those things will start shifting. I can tell you this though, they happen because you are consistent. Period, the end. You can't expect to do these things once or twice or even like a dozen times and expect that that's all you need to do. Like, you've got to do it. Much like personal development. Like I went down this train over 5 years ago, and thinking that I was going to hire a coach for 8 weeks and that was going to transform my life. I moved mountains in the first 8 weeks, but I today am still, although I'm not with that particular coach, I am still wrapped up in my own professional development. I spend more time and energy and money in my personal development today than I ever did back then. And I thought I was making a big commitment to that then. It's so vital. So, I don't mean to get on that soapbox, but my point is, if you are out there wanting to build legacy and you're worried about, is it measuring up? Is it hitting the marks? Is it doing the things that you like want it to do, affecting the people that you want to be in front of? If you're not getting those metrics back, don't freak out. Just know that if you're showing up every single day, and first you have to show up for yourself, you have to show up for yourself and write down what you want it to look like. Then you have to say, okay, like, what's up in here? What's in here? What can I do to write that down on paper? And then what can I do today to actually implement what I just wrote down, what I just felt, what I just like thought about. And when you can do that consistently every single day, and I'm talking like 20 minutes a day, okay? Like literally everybody watching this today, you can find 20 minutes a day. If you can, that's a whole nother conversation for another time, but you can find 20 minutes a day to figure out what you want your legacy to look like. I promise you can. It just means that you've got to like take the time to do it. Okay. So, I know that was kind of ironic that I actually just said that, but you follow me. So with that said, I invite you to, put in the comment section of this video, what was your most impactful takeaway from our chat today? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's continue the conversation as it relates to taking you to the next level, even if it just means creeping my videos a little bit. There's lots of gems inside of the videos here. I do that because it's my gift to you as it relates to getting out there, putting your message out there in front of the people that are meant to hear it, but more importantly, building the legacies that are going to withstand the test of time. After you're long gone here, if that's important for you, if it's important that your words and your message lives on, take heed to what I'm saying today on some level. And this isn't this isn't made up from my own thoughts. These are, really, it's my own spin on it, but I'm here today because of other mentors and other guidance that I've gotten. And so I feel like if we can align with other principles to really support some of the things that we're talking about here today, and if you can connect with that, whatever that means for you, but you can do that on a day-to-day basis, it will transform your life. And again, I don't have a crystal ball on when that can happen, but I just know that through consistent effort, stuff starts to change when you put those wheels in motion. So with that said, again, I invite you to put your comments on what the most impactful takeaway from our message today was in the comment section of this video or the blog. And let me know how I can support you as it relates to getting your message out there, building your legacy, and transforming other people's lives. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for rocking at whatever it is that you're doing to add value and build influence in the lives that you touch. You guys rock. Take care.